This is a tutorial for Dex Science at 6.3. Hello and welcome to another video. This video is a continuation of an activity that we started earlier. In this video, we are going to build a pulley system and use our simple elastic balance to measure the mechanical advantage of our pulley system. So to build our pulley system, we are going to need a few items. So these are the items you're going to use to build our pulley system. So we have our two pulleys here, we have our rope, we have a metal ring, and these two parts, when combined together, will enable us clamp our pulley onto a door or any objects that we're going to use. So there's usually a rubber on the surface, and so you're going to peel that rubber off. Okay, let's go ahead and unwind our rope. So we have a very long rope here, and we are going to have to cut a bit of this rope, okay? So that we have two strings, okay? Okay. Now let's assemble our clamp. Assembling the clamp is really simple. There is a cutout through here which will go onto this screw, and so you place it and then you gently screw that. Okay, just move it along the screw, and depending on the thickness of whatever object you are clamping your pulley to, you'll keep tightening it until it's really nice and tight. Okay, let's assemble the second one. Okay, good. So now we have our clamps ready to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and then get an object that we can clamp our pulley system to. Okay, so we are going to use this piece of wood here to help us set up our pulley system. Now you don't need anything like this. You can use a door or any object that has some thickness and is solid, so that you can set up your pulley system on it, okay? Now the first thing we're going to put there are our cranks, okay? So we're going to put our two cranks at some distance apart, okay? So I'm going to put the first one here, okay? And then the second one I'm going to put somewhere here, okay? You need it to be some distance apart, okay? Good. And so after you've done this, you need to tighten it, okay? Now remember the knob at the back. You're just going to turn it, and as you turn it, it's going to tighten, okay? As you turn it, it's going to tighten. So I'm going to put it here, and then I'll turn the knob at the back, okay? Just keep turning until I feel it's tight enough, okay? Until I feel it's tight enough, okay? I'm going to do the same thing for this other one here. So I'm going to turn the knob. Okay. Keep going until it's nice and tight. Okay, so once you have our clamp set up, the next thing we're going to do is that for the pulley, there's supposed to be one fixed end and then one movable end, okay? And so we are going to put the fixed end on this clamp here. Okay, so with our rope, we are going to tie this side here. Okay, we're going to do a nice knob. Go 2. You can go 3 if you want. So that is nice and steady. Okay, so that we have a fixed part like that. Okay, good. So now that we have this fixed end tied here, our first pulley is going to be here. Okay, and then the second one is going to be here. And then we're going to run our rope through the entire setup. Okay, so let me get the pulley. We're going to put one of the pulleys here. We're going to use our metal ring. So there's a grip here. So I'm going to put the metal ring through it like this. Okay, and I'm going to put my pulley, which also has its own grip, through it like this. So for our second pulley, the grip is going to be down this way, not up like this one is. It's going to be down this way, okay? And then we're going to run, see there's a groove here, and so the rope is going to run through that groove like this, okay? And then it's going to come, leave that here. It's going to run through the groove here also like this. So this is where the load we are going to be moving is going to be. So as we pull like this, it's going to lift the load up, okay? Okay, so the weight we're going to use is a 1.5 liter bottle of water, okay? So let's get that and then let's try it. And always make sure that when you are releasing this, you take this pulley off, because if you let go, it's going to fall down. So make sure you take this pulley off before you let go of the rope. Let's get our weight. We're going to tie the rope that we cut earlier on to the top of this bottle of water. Okay, so 1, 2. Okay, it should be good enough. You can go 3 if you want, just to make sure it's secured. Okay, and then we're going to tie another knob a few distance away. Okay, go to that as well. We can go 3, that as well. Okay, so you end up with something like this. Okay, so now we are going to hang this onto our pulley. We have our load here. You're going to fix it onto the pulley. It's heavy, so be careful with it. Then we are going to run our rope through it like this. So we have our setup here that we can use to move our bottle. So as I pull here, you can see the bottle being moved up. Nice. Okay, so this is a simple machine made up of 2 pulleys that I can use to lift the weight. Okay. But how do we know that this is indeed a machine? A machine is supposed to reduce how much force you need to apply in order to get work done. And so we are going to measure just the weight of this bottle without the pulley, and we are then going to measure when we put it on the pulley and then bring our balance here and measure how much force we are applying in order to lift it. And then we can compare to see whether or not indeed we are applying less force in holding or lifting this bottle. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And don't forget, in order to disassemble this, you first take the load. Okay, you hold your load and then you take your load and your pulley here off. Okay, that is how you disassemble the setup. So let's go and then get our balance and then do some measurements. So remember our simple measuring device. Okay, that's what we are going to use to measure the weight that we have. Okay, and so we need to try and then do some calibration, okay, to mark a point on this device here before we start measuring. Okay, good. Now what would be nice would be to have a surface that we can use a pencil to also mark as we measure the weight. So you can take any white piece of paper or get some tape, and so I'll push the dial slightly so that the paper can go underneath it. Okay, and then I'm going to just stick it on here. Okay, okay, so you can just get some tape and some white paper and then stick this. So now we can use a pencil to simply mark the starting point. Okay, so now that we have a way to measure our weight, let's go ahead and then do some measurements. Okay, and so don't forget, when we add the weight, we are expecting the dial to move downwards, and how far it moves will depend on how heavy the weight we are adding is. So let's add some weight. So now that we've marked the start point for our dial, I'm going to go ahead and then place this weight on the metal ring. Okay, now let me move it around to make sure it's nice and secured. Okay. Okay. So now let's observe what happens to the dial when I let go of the bottle. You see that? So now let's mark that point where, okay, good. And so you can do a simple calculation to find out what is the weight of 1.5 liters of water, and then that would mean that that is where the dial currently is. So this point is going to be 0, and then this point is going to be the weight of 1.5 liters of water. So now that we have this marked out, let's attach this weight back to our pulley system and then attach this balance to the pulley system as well to see if we are getting any mechanical advantage. Now we're going to attach our weight back onto the pulley and then use our measuring device here to see if we can measure how much force is required to hold the same bottle. Okay, the first thing we need to do is to make sure our balance is attached to the pulley system. Okay, how do we do that? It's really simple. We are simply going to tie a knob to it. Very, very simple. Okay, so I'm just going to tie this up here. Okay, very simple. Going to do number 2, and then the third one. So now we have our balance attached to the pulley. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off just to make it a bit cleaner. Okay, so now we have our pulley system and our balance nicely connected. Okay, and so the force that we apply here, we can measure that over here. Okay, okay, let's put that back. Okay, so now that we are done with that, the next thing we need to do is to add our second pulley. Okay, so we have our second pulley here. So we're going to attach the second pulley, run the rope through it like this, and then we are going to attach our weight to it whilst holding the pulley. Okay. Now we can grab the weight and then once I let go, we are going to see how far the dial on our measuring device goes. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, so now see, the exact same dial that was moving all the way here is now barely moving from its origin, and yet we are lifting the exact same bottle of water, right? So this means that the machine is actually giving us a mechanical advantage because we're able to lift and hold the same bottle of water but applying much less force. Let's go ahead and mark this point so that we can refer to it later. Okay, good. And so as you can clearly see, using this simple machine, we've been able to lift this bottle of water by applying less force than we did without the machine. And that is what makes this whole setup a simple machine. And let's not forget that we did this measuring device on our own. We created this measuring device using our understanding of elasticity. And that has helped us to measure how much force we are applying when we are lifting this bottle without the pulley, and how much force we apply when we are lifting the bottle with the pulley. So there you have it. You've created a simple machine. It's really, really beautiful, allowing you to do work with less energy. Really interesting. So go ahead and explore different kinds of weights. You can keep calibrating your elastic balance as well, and maybe even use it to measure other weights. You can try with your friends to see if you can make a 3-pulley, 4-pulley or 5-pulley system to see what mechanical advantage that gives you as well. This is indeed a really interesting activity. And this has been another exciting activity using materials from the Dex Science Set 6.3. See you in the next video.